So now we can also import a mechanical zonal system into the zone icon. Under the mechanical tab, you have your zonal system, and you'll notice that in my default library I just have CAV and VAV boxes, but in the sample file the zonal library has a list of the variable refrigerant flow systems. So if this is the one I want to use, I'd highlight it, I would export it, I would select the building I want to export it to, and now in my building the zonal library has that system included. Now you can highlight a system, hold down the shift key and highlight a number of them, then export all of them to your building, and then they would all be right there. What you will need to do is you will need to have a number of different zones under each of your systems that are VRF or VRV. So you'd right click and you'd add a zone, and these are just going to be thermally independent zones with either the same or different mechanical systems in each one of these zones. And you'll give each of these a different name, you know, like 5th floor east or 5th floor south. And then you need to start adding the envelope features to these zones. So you do right click on that zone and select add room. Now I'm going to shut this down. So we can see the entire screen here. So you have the room icon underneath the zone icon. This room icon, you can name it the same as the zone 5 east room. This is where you put the area. The area is the area of the conditioned floor area that you're modeling under that zone. So we'll say we have a 100 square foot room with an 8-foot ceiling. Not a lot else really needs to be entered into this field for LEED or for just general energy analysis projects. A lot of these are Title 24 inputs here that we're not going to go into today. Once you have the area and the height of the room, again, right click, and then you'd add the envelope features here. So you'd probably have a wall, you'd probably have an east wall in that east zone. That east wall might be 500 square feet. And clicking on the next to new assembly will take you to the assembly library. Right now I just have one assembly in my assembly library, so we'll go with that. And then the orientation is going to be east. The tilt is usually 90, but you can change that. If there's thermal mass on the wall, you could select that here. And then within the wall, you would right click and add a window or add a door. Enter the area of that door and window. The software will take away the area of the door and the window from the area of this wall here. So enter the gross area of the wall and then the gross area of the window and door, and the software will subtract the area here. That also means that it won't allow you to put a window that is larger than the wall area here. You'll get an error message. So a lot of the time your room is also going to have roofs and floors. And you can go through and add as many of these walls and windows and roofs and floors as you want here. You can also add lighting to these rooms. The lighting will, you just need to select your fixture. Really the watts is what matters. Select your fixture there. Select the multiplier. I might have 10 of those. And then the reference code, which will show up on reports, you might call that F1 if that's what it says on the plans. You can add a number of different lighting fixtures, F2 and so on. You can have a number of different walls. This room icon and adding the envelope underneath is really where most of the modeling is done in terms of what the load on the building is going to be. The orientation is really important, and yeah, I mean, can you apply a reference code to a window? No, you can't. It'll just be the list here. What's listed here? Which you can change this here. You know, you can call it Milgard or whatever you want to call it, and then, but it's not really like a reference code. So there's a question about the Title 24 forms and what they show there. Real briefly, I can show you what the Title 24 forms look like. So just take a second. You'll see the list of the windows here. It does just say window or skylight. These are California Energy Commission forms for Title 24. Not a lot of changes that we can make to these. I don't know why that is. That's just the way it is. Okay, so back to this sample file that I am building here. Let's say this is how I want to build my model. This obviously is very incomplete, but let's say I'm done with it. What you need to do is you need to select the calculation that you want to run, and to do that you come down to the bottom here, select calculations, and then there are these calculations here. The non-residential performance is just going to give you an energy usage of the building based on what you've input. It's not going to be based, on any standards. It's really just going to be a calculation of what the building is going to use. Then you might want to compare that to a whole nether building and see how the buildings compare. The NR 90.1 performance and the NR T24 lead modules are both lead modules. They will give you the EAP1 reports for lead, which you'll just have to transfer into the online lead template. The 90.1 module will base the calculation on a 90.1 baseline, while the Title 24 for lead module will use the Title 24 baseline. Only California buildings are allowed to use the Title 24 baseline, while anywhere in the country can use the 90.1. So another question is, if there's a VRF system model that's not in the sample file, can you add one? Yes, you can. You want to make sure that you get that information from the manufacturer and it's accurate. Then you can change it. What you don't want to do is change a couple things. This is variable refrigerant flow system. This efficiency, the 3.413, you want to leave that there. That's always going to be the efficiency. That is the conversion factor from kilowatts to BTUH. The total output, yeah, we're not going to go into that. Sorry. Okay. So you can add your system here. It's best to alter a system that's already a variable refrigerant flow. Don't select, split DX and try and change things. I would select one of these variable refrigerant flow systems and then make changes there. So back to the calculations. The NR Tile 24 performance is just for Tile 24. You're not allowed to use variable refrigerant flow or variable refrigerant volume systems for Tile 24 calculations, so you're not going to be running that. That may change in the future, but as of now, you cannot do that. So let's run, let's say we're going to run a 90.1 calculation. And then what you need to decide is if you want to include the envelope, indoor lighting, outdoor lighting, mechanical, and domestic hot water in the scope. If not, you can just uncheck the indoor lighting and outdoor lighting maybe, and leave the rest selected. Next, you want to go to the reports button underneath calculations and select the reports that you want the file to include. It's got to be matched up. You want to match up the report you select with the calculation you select. So I selected 90.1 under calculations. I'm going to select 90.1 under reports, expand that, and select exactly which pages of the report I want to include. Now you can only select one report, while you can select a number of different calculations to run at the same time. So you can compare your building to the Tile 24 baseline and the 90.1 baseline at the same time, see which one gives you a better lead report, and then go with that one. So that's a real quick overview of how to build the building tree, build the model. If there's any other questions in regards to that, now might be a good time to ask those. For Tile 24 performance, if your building is going to be using these variable refrigerant flow systems, you do need to change the system type to a split DX heat pump with a 13 SEER is what you need to do. Just like that. That way the software will calculate a regular split DX heat pump, and the California Energy Commission will be happy with that. So I'm going to go back to the sample file that I had open earlier, and I'm going to show you what the reports will look like. Actually, I don't want to use this one. I'm going to open the file I had earlier. Once you've selected your calculation that you want to run and the reports that you want to include, you come up to the toolbar and you hit calculate. And it'll take just a few minutes, a few seconds really, depending on the file. And you'll get down here the results of your calculation. So you have here the baseline 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and your proposed results under